All right. It's funny. We've done about 30 or 40 tutorials on using the 3D designer to create landscapes, mountainscapes, that sort of things. And yet I still find new ways to use it and create yet another type of mountains. And in fact, I thought perhaps for game developers, one thing that might be really useful is to see just a general collection of all sorts of landscapes, meaning up close some low valleys and then some hilly sides in the medium range, and then far away something like some high peaks. So the whole gamut of different elevation mountains. And so I wanted to just show a very simple way to do that. If you start with the filter and render plasma noise, we get something like this. We can go and perhaps make it a little bit smaller. And then the question is, how do we get, in the back to keep it that way for sort of mountain peaks and higher elevation mountains, and then in the medium range and especially in the front range to kind of lower it and flatten it. So really easily with the gradients here, simply right click and select the linear gradient tool, or click the tool and then select it here, linear gradient, same thing. And now you have a gradient that goes across that. Now you don't want to use it in that mode, you want to multiply. Because when you go to mode and multiply mode, what you get, you can start at the bottom here and move it up, and that multiplies it from black to white. So what happens, let's say you do this a few times and you go with really, let's say about this much here, then the front right here at the bottom is just totally black. Now that might be too much, so maybe we need to use the interactive undo here. It's also known as the interactive undo for lack of a better name. No, it's actually also known as something like this here, filter fade last action. There you go. But what that does is it brings it back to somewhere between all of the effect to none of the effect, right? So anyway, we have now mountains here that some of them are still showing the very highest peaks, and we can perhaps use the dynamic range here, expand dynamic range, to make sure the highest ones are really at the highest, brightest white possible. What we can also do is, we know that way there are some dark parts that are black. Now maybe in the medium range here we'd like to have something a little bit different. So maybe one thing we can do is reserve an area here with the rectangle to alpha. Select, let's say, this much here, and perhaps also smooth it. It's actually better if we see the overlay of the alpha, so that it turns it pink if it's not selected. And then we can do a adjust or blur the alpha here, Gaussian blur alpha, and adjust that so you kind of see a gradual transition. And the reason I want to do that is really perhaps do a slightly different type of mountain in this area, different from the ones in the back. For instance, I might want to use the filter adjust curves to kind of flatten it and create a little bit of a S-curve shape, and that kind of will make it a bit like Monument Valley monoliths, if you want. Something that doesn't come down right away. It kind of flattens at the tops, keeps it bright and high, and then have the darker parts do about the same thing and kind of do a little bit of a flatter valley area. So then we can OK that and clear the selection. And so now we have sort of a different type of landscape here. This is actually going to be a little bit, you can see it's a little bit brighter than this part, right? This part here at the bottom is probably going to appear a little bit higher, and then this thing a little bit lower. And so let's go and store this image, and throw that into the 3D designer. There you go. And so already you can see there's definitely some more mountains or peaks towards the back here, and something a little bit flatter up here. Now one thing you want to do is perhaps flatten it like this so you can see it as if you were standing there, and perhaps adjust the perspective here, the camera zoom, perhaps make it also a little bit wider. Oops, not deeper but wider, like this. to cover the entire range. And then also go up a little bit to really see those big high peaks. Now, of course, we're never done unless we also have some erosion here. So let's go open the More button here and add some erosion. That takes a second or two. There you go. Now, the flatter areas here, you may not want to have all that noise happening there. So increase this one here, the flatness threshold. Right? If you do this, it will be a little bit flatter. There you go. It will reduce some of those potholes, so to speak. We can probably go even higher. Let's go to 30 or 40. Let's do 30. There you go. So there's a couple of droppings left here. We might want to, let's see what else we need to do. Oh, perhaps smooth this a little bit on the pre-filter. And then it's really time to start doing some lighting. So let's get the background color up a little bit. Let's give it something like a bluish with a bit more white. And then, let's see, fog. There's a ground fog level, non-linear. Let's add that a little bit to that. It might be too much. Be careful about that. Probably some distance fog too. Right. And then, of course, the lighting. So let's say I'm going to enable the ray trace for soft shadows here. So as you rotate this, you can see the shadows being cast. Perhaps lower the position of the light, bring the zenith up and the intensity as well. Perhaps we need to bring the... Okay, there you go. That's what I want. I want to see those shadows cast onto the flatlands, right? Onto the valleys. So that's going to give it a nice 3D depth, additional depth perception. And so at this point, you know, there's a bunch of other things you can do to perhaps give it a slightly different look. So you see kind of this thing disappear in the distance, and that adds an additional level of perspective perhaps. So you could go perhaps see it here. Yeah, look at that. Okay, and then a little bit farther. There you go. And so, and always keep looking at the light source itself. See if you want to have it really right in your face, or a little bit to the right or left, a little bit down, something like that. Try the specular too, the specular lighting. Not too much of it, but you do want to have some areas that have some bright spots there. And then there's of course the sediments. We still need to add a little bit of sediments, and perhaps one more thing, it's to work with the coloring of the texture. So right now, let's go and enable the texture. And so we got the flatlands in the foreground. They're going to be mostly green, and we can later actually work on making that texture even better and have some sort of shapes or patterns appear, like, as if we had like forests or a mix of different hilly areas. And then we can bring the snow down as well. So you want the snow just here in the back. Maybe we need to increase the second light a little bit too, and that's the azimuth. Let's bring the altitude way up, the zenith way down, and so make sure it's not too bright, but give it a little bit, right? And let's see, that one's probably fine. I think we're getting there. There's probably one or two other things we can do. Perhaps, you know, Magic Mountain's a little bit too high, or farther and smaller. Let's see how much we can move this to the left. Up there is the edge, so let's not go too much farther. And there you go. Maybe bring it back a little bit, and perhaps something like this. So now we got too much fog. We need to bring this back a little bit, something like that. All right. So we also have the option here to give it really much more snow, and bring the snow down in intensity, so it's really all over a snowscape. Or perhaps, what was that, 15? Let's give it 22, so we get more patchy areas with snow in some areas, but not too much of it. Let's see if we bring this one down. That's a really crisp one though, perhaps a little bit too much for my taste, so we probably want to experiment with that a little bit too. Alright, so let's see what else. We want to bring this up a little bit, tilt it down, A lot of little controls to play with here. Alright, so I think you can see how you can make that way a sort of a flatlands, a slightly hilly area, and then eventually have it bring it up into the mountain peaks that are kind of covering the horizon. And there's also perhaps some clouds you can add there. Let's see some sky puffs. Let's bring them down a little bit. Let's move them to the back here. This is the y-axis. That's to the wrong way. Let's go this way. Click and drag. There you go. And let's see if we can move them sideways. Where do I want it? Maybe I want it in the back there. But you can also adjust the scale a little bit and the elevation. Alright, maybe it's an incoming mountain or cloud pattern there. So yeah, well, that's about it. Just a couple of ways to create yet another type of mountain and get started. Perhaps once we render this, let's go with some high quality anti-aliasing here. Or not, if this is going to be a blurry image in the end because you put it in the background and you want to focus on something crisp in the foreground, you don't really need to have it rendered at very high quality, because eventually you're going to blur it out anyway, right? What I'm saying is, if you do something like this here, you render it and you wait, you really may not need to do that if you're going to say, well, it's time to blur it with bokeh blur or Gaussian blur or something like that. And if you want to do it this way, so that you essentially have something in the background you don't really focus on because you're going to draw something in the foreground. And maybe that's going to be, I don't know, something like some brushes, like trees in the foreground that are on some other hills right there. So, you could go with something like this here. Let's go to the foliage, enable that. Load some of the classic trees or whatever. We have some evergreens here, something like this. See, these are all crisp now, right? So they appear to be in the foreground because the other stuff is all blurry in the background, right? So and then of course we need to have a little bit of grass. Let's go. Let's get the weed painter. There you go. Put a couple of these here. Let's get this a few more. There you go. And then perhaps switch over to the regular particles, the simpler particles that is. Let's go and load those for the grass or the batty grass. There you go. And there you go. So pretty quickly we'll have this thing put together. And you can see how the foreground is now all crisp and really gets your attention. And the mountain scene is kind of disappearing in the background. Let me go and store this one here. Store this image. And then I'm going to go and undo that a couple of times until I get back to this image before the blur. There, this one. I'm going to store this one too. Should have done that earlier. So, because these images I might want to get back to as well. One thing also, when you see the shadows, the way they are cast here, one thing you may want to do is actually add the sun or whatever star from this foreign planet you're on. You want to add that somewhere, so make sure you use this tool here with the gradients and get the lens flares there. And there's a couple of predefined lens flares to choose from, but you can also modify the settings here on the edit and more. So have fun with that. I'm gonna go grab this one here with the big circle around it. And then you just gotta see and sort of backtrace it. You see which way the shadows drop here. You can see it here. So it's probably around here. Just around there. There you go. And not too big. Perhaps combine it with another one too. Alright, there you go. And I think that will complete that little tutorial. Alright, thanks for watching.